Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of a gaming podcast, episode 121. Caboose, how you doing?
Doing good. Been playing some Resident Evil 9 as we were talking about just before we went live with the podcast. But also, listen, I played the Marathon Server Slam, and my first hour, I was like, Bungie, what the hell? And then my second and third, and then subsequent hours, I was like, Bungie, what the hell? Look at this. You know?
All right.
Very into it. Very into it. So I'm excited for the launch this week.
Yeah, because people are a little bit nervous about that game now, especially with our little first topic. But we'll dive into that and everything. Camille, how are you doing? Are you ready for Scott Pilgrim? Some reviews went out.
Yeah, I know.
The first one on the fantasy.
I'm just, no, Resident Evil was pick as well. And I'm excited for Scott Pilgrim. Oh, yeah, you're just a reminder, everyone. Marcel counterpicked Pokemon Poketopia. So,
first of all, I want to bring that up.
And that's not even my choice.
Only me. Everyone else in the industry is shocked by this score. I know this game's going to sell. Score? It's like it's the highest Pokemon rated game ever. It's like
I'm not shocked that it's. I mean, okay, I understand that they're shocked that it's that high, but I think if they found out you counterpicked a Pokemon game, they would have thought you were crazy.
Now, if this was based off of sales, I wouldn't even touch this. But usually, I'm like, okay, this is like a weird spinoff and everything. Like then it would be like a 78, a low 80 or something like that. But you know what? I made one mistake though. Game Freak didn't touch this. That was my mistake.
Yeah. Is this some Animal Crossing Pokemon type game deal? Yeah. Is that what we're looking at? Oh yeah.
Like the perfect two successful ideas merging as one, and Marcel decided to counterpick.
You know what?
Off a score.
It was the Game Freak thing. I think you're totally right about that. Marcel. If you had known, or actually, I don't know, I would never
have touched it.
Then I think maybe this would have been something to just be like, hold on a minute, we got to steer clear. It's going to be a big one.
Because just based off of graphics, people were like, oh, this was like an N64 game. And I'm like, what is this? I mean, yes, it was sold because of Pokemon, but the score people were like, this is a 6 out of 10 or some of that. I'm seeing 8s, I'm seeing 9s, I'm seeing 10. It's Mutagenics, Resident Evil, and Pokemon Poketopia. Like it's for the game of the year right now. Like that's insane.
I will say just an update on our actual points, not what's projected. Marcel, you are first. Not second. Second the best.
You second, actually.
Second the best. No, you're first right now. It's standing.
It shows that you're first for me.
And
it shows that you're first for me.
You know where I'm at? Dead last.
I'm gonna lose some heavy points, Camille. So
you know why? You're like, so you have 31.75 points. I have 31.48.
I'm gonna lose 12 points though because of Pokemon.
Points?
Pokemon, because I countered it.
Marcel is going to lose on Pokemon.
I unfortunately lost.
Riley owes me a drink.
I bet big on God of War Sons of Sparta being like good. I don't think it's terrible.
That was rough. Yeah,
I don't think it's terrible or anything like that. It's just it's stacked up against such a genre that's like got way better games, and then it also I don't think successfully kind of emulated what's so good about that
God of War
style, and even it didn't bring out too much of the lore of God of War, right?
Yeah.
But you know what, Caboose, you have GTA 6 on your choice, so I don't think you have anything to cry about. You'll be fine in the end. You'll be fine in the end.
Yeah.
That's if it comes out.
It's coming out. I mean, I do have a really solid list overall. I think as long as Yoshi is good too.
Which it will be.
We should be in a solid spot. Yeah,
I have a good solid list. I just have to wait for games to come out.
I think so. Yeah. No. Hello, Steve. By the way.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Sorry, Camille, anything else going on with you besides the score?
Just I changed this to my backdrop on my PC now. Just following this fantasy draft very closely, kind of nervous. I'm hoping Scott Pilgrim's good.
Getting some good scores right now.
It's getting some good ones, but we'll see.
Console Creatures, friends of the show, give it an 8, sort of helping you out.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't talk to any of them. Be like,
I don't understand why they're not giving it a 9 or 10, but okay.
Maybe you didn't pay them higher month. You know, I'm just saying. Okay.
Here's the question: are they on OpenCritic? That's the thing.
They are.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, Steve, how are you doing? I've been lurking in your stream, hearing you yell and swear at Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah, you're playing 2, right?
I'm playing 2 right now. Yeah, because I've never played 2 or 4, and I got Resident Evil Requiem for review, and I was like, well, I could play, and I was asking y'all about like what's the best. Like, could I just play this game and just jump right into it? But then y'all were saying like it's better to play 2 and 4. Some even suggested 6. Steve.
No.
You can miss 6.
That's what I was. Yeah, I was like 2 and 4. I'm like, okay, I'm good because they were remade, and I'm like, it's in the same RE engine, so I figured I can at least give it a try. So I started playing 2 on stream this week. I ran into my first very traumatic experience playing 2. I got to the dog part.
Welcome to Resident Evil.
Yeah.
We've given you your initiation.
Well, I say it's traumatic because I can handle zombies. I can handle even creepy creatures. I went through Silent Hill.
You're not turning on.
I'm okay with that.
Engine.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The problem was
the tank engine. Yeah.
the problem was for me was like long story short, basically I got bit by a dog when I was 13. I still have the scars on my arm to this day. And it was a German Shepherd that basically broke through a door to basically come out. And if I didn't have my arm out, it would have went straight for my face.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been afraid of dogs ever since. It's gotten better, like as I grew older, like basically like some dogs are generally okay. But anytime that like a dog would bark or become a little bit too aggressive, it's just like immediately it's a big no-no.
Understandably.
Yeah. And so that first cinematic that of when you get into the parking garage, like I just played it today. And it's when a dog basically jumps at you and jumps on top of you. Like that was so similar to how my experience was, at least how I remember experiencing it as a kid. Mm-hmm. It was like, and you couldn't do anything about it. It was a cinematic, so you couldn't but I couldn't look away because I was waiting for potentially a thing like a QuickTime event to pop up to potentially get the dog off, and it didn't happen, and it was so. I had to pause for like a good solid 5 minutes just to kind of like calm myself down after that. And then having to go through the kennel and having to deal with those situations too later. It's just, it's not going to stop me from playing it further, but it's definitely the worst part of the game for me. Absolutely. So, and I know it's a Resident Evil staple. Once I remembered that, zombie dogs are a thing in Resident Evil, that's when I was like, okay, crap, I'm gonna have to deal with this. But
if my memory serves me correct, I don't think you'll have to worry about that at all with RE4, and you're definitely not going to worry about that for
Requiem,
or at least as far as I've got. I will say though, as someone who has really bad arachnophobia. There was.
I didn't know you had bad arachnophobia.
It's bad. It's bad.
That part must have been rough for you.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. No spoilers. No spoilers. But there was.
Well, I mean, it's not a spoiler. It's
become
pretty
Thomas
much
the Train now.
Yeah, Thomas the Train. Thomas the Train mod.
Well,
not mod. It's
wait. Where is this? Where's the spider? Is it 2, 4, or 9?
In 9, no spoilers.
9, okay.
There's
a
okay.
Yeah.
There's a
but
spider.
You can't turn on.
There's no arachnophobia mode potentially.
There is.
There is. Okay.
With Thomas, that's the whole thing for 9, right? You're talking about 9?
That's a mod.
No. Didn't
there's
they
no
do
way
the...
There's a real Thomas the Tank.
I don't think they put Thomas the Tank Engine as a replacement for spiders.
That's been like a joke since 2.
People
made something into Thomas.
Oh yeah, it was 2 that I was thinking about. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be insane if they did that though.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
They should just do it.
What a weird crossover. Patting Thomas the ticket.
It's because it's been like it's a community joke because they made something into Thomas.
I just remember they even modded in Skyrim all the dragons to be Thomas as well.
Wait, what's the whole thing? Didn't 3 also have a Thomas thing too?
Yeah, yes, Thomas probably. Honestly could be the biggest collab in video games if developers would just hop on board. It's modders are already doing it. Just
because the scary thing is you just hear his music off in the distance faintly. You're like, what the hell is that?
I love that. I love
Thomas gets modded into everything, and then CJ from GTA San Andreas.
Yes,
I actually. It was funny. Before I started playing RE2, it just so happened that it just popped up on my TikTok feed. There was someone who modded RE2, and at any time that there was a zombie, any grunt or whatever, it replaces it with Michael Jackson sounds. So all of a sudden you just hear like off in the distance, you just hear like
oh my god.
And then you hear a shamon like every time like a zombie. But I was
incredible.
So tempted to include that. But I'm like, oh no, I just want the actual experience of like without having to mod it or whatever.
For as good as that is, it would also actually genuinely be terrifying.
It's like because you hear it like in a distant room. All of a sudden, you just kind of walk in the hallway and you just hear off in the distance.
Like, oh my god,
so creepy.
That is incredible. That is incredible. Holy smokes.
As good as Resident Evil is, I'm sorry to come back with some bad news, but as of 3:00, an hour before we start recording this, today, Highguard has announced that they're shutting down on March 12th. Since launched with more than 2 million players stepping into Highguard's world, you shared feedback, created content, and many believe in what they were building. And sadly, they're deciding to shut down the servers on March 12th. They're going to have one more update. And then after March 12th, next Thursday, the game will be officially gone, folks.
I think the key word you said there was 2 million players. It just basically means that no live service can be successful anymore unless you're a Fortnite or a Call of Duty, because 2 million, when you have 2 million players, like indie games would
those
love to have that amount of install base.
No.
And that's from launch?
Apparently.
I don't know. I mean, that's from launch to its entire lifespan. There was a total of 2 million people that have played the game.
Sure. Yeah. But it just means that like you can't even, I don't know. It sucks that essentially that a game can't even like be successful even with the amount of like players, the 2 million players that it had. Sure, it may not have like all 2 million were on at the same time, of course, but it's like I mean, like I'll ask the question. Do you think that games as service are dead?
No,
it's just one of these things where like, it's impossible to know when you're going to be the game that everyone plays, you know, it's impossible to kind of capture that lightning in a bottle, to understand the trends and to know like, this is the right time to strike, because games as a service, it's not like every average single player game where someone's going to go from one title to the next, right? Games as a service, a lot of people just want to play Fortnite or they just want to play Warzone. You know what I mean? They don't want to have a library of games as a service to jump from one to the next to the other. You know, it's you have to be really careful with these games. And I do think as well that probably to the top, I'd have to blame some of the people higher up. They need to stop designing these games in the hopes that the only way it'll survive is if we can have a concurrent player base of like 100,000, you know, and they also need to stop being designed with the hopes of like, it either needs to be front loaded, everyone's buying the microtransactions, everyone's jumping in from the start, or we're dead. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be this like this Rainbow Six Siege mentality, right? Where you put out a game, you have a plan, you stick to that plan, and you do not fall, or you do not waver based on the amount of people that are playing it, so that you try to improve the game for the people that are playing it and bring in more players. That's why Rainbow Six succeeded in the end. That's why games like Final Fantasy 14 succeeded in the end, is because they did not give up on the title just because they didn't have the success they wanted right at the jump.
That's the key, is that they let the games like
let them breathe,
play out for themselves instead of trying to get the instant success. Let it breathe. Yeah.
Well, I think there's multiple ways to market a game. Like Kabuski said, I don't think it's as easy. Well, like you were saying off the top, like we have to come off that ideation that it's like your game has to have like millions of players at launch or millions within the first month concurrently or 100,000 concurrently, right? Because you look at even DBD, Siege, DBD, it's like those are games that were able to market themselves differently. Yes, they went hard when they first released and they anticipated a drop off. They understood that it is going to be a long or reoccurring game. Might have lost a few community members along the way and had, some updates that weren't as big as some fans wanted and the community wanted, but in the long term, they're looking at the long-term goal and are able to make those updates that bring players back. And I think, it's not necessarily to the developers, it's more of their investors, their stakeholders that have to understand when you are signing up for a long live service game, it is the long run and there's going to be those ups and downs like any investment. I think, the conversation of when did 2 million players become horrible, or when was it that, we went into any investment hoping for a quick return with the whole video game industry. It's just crazy that you have these investors and stakeholders that are looking, and board members are looking at those big games and saying we need 100 more of those. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. You can't anticipate the pop off. You can't anticipate when your game's going to be hot, and you shouldn't. No studio should go into developing a video game anticipating that this is going to be the game, because that's immediately how you're going to turn off gamers, and they're not going to want to tune in and stay there for a long time. Gamers are one of the hardest consumers, I believe, to actually stay on board on a product, and that's just because we're more skeptical of things, because we're always being sold a lot of crap with like it's a revolving door. It's just being or even like a wall, and they're trying to stick spaghetti at us. We're getting thrown spaghetti in our faces all the time. And
I like spaghetti, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I do like spaghetti, but
not everyone likes spaghetti. I think that's
but is your spaghetti have the meat and all the sauce and onions, or is your spaghetti? Is it a veggie spaghetti? Nah, get that out of here. Get that out of here. But no, a lot of companies are throwing us really, slops and taking shortcuts in hopes to have a payoff for investors. And I think studios really have to kind of go the way of what Nintendo and PlayStation has been doing. I know, Caboose, you mentioned it before in previous episodes, but it's like, okay, this game is coming out. You're banking it's going to be a live service game. Let's not do that and we understand the studio is working on that, but we understand we're going to have, if it is the Wolverine, whatever other games that are coming out in our catalog that are going to be a long-term hit, or if the studio is just working on that title for a really long time, okay, how are we making it self-sufficient for at least 5 years before we actually reevaluate and consider closing the doors on something that didn't even get a chance to get off its feet, Yeah,
I think that they probably anticipated that they would have immediate sort of success, is because a good chunk of the executives came from Respawn, right? Came from Apex, and when that launched, that shadow drop, which is what they still intended for Highguard to do, they were going to shadow drop it. It was extremely successful right out of the gate. Now, granted, at the time, I think probably it was basically Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone, I think, were the two still out, and so people were itching for a new sort of battle royale at that point. It was starting to kind of pop off. So I think they were kind of anticipating that they were going to get that immediate success. But to what you were saying, Camille, you kind of need that the patience to kind of find that 5 year plan. A great example of that, Bungie with Destiny 2. When they launched Destiny 2, they said, we have a 10-year plan. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, if you say 10-year plan, you're like, really? You're really sure about that?
You mean with Destiny 1?
Oh, sorry, Destiny 1. Sorry,
Destiny
that's what I meant. With Destiny, they said they had a 10-year plan. And ultimately, it had its ups and downs, but it paid off. They were able to make it to 10 years
and paid off in spades.
And paid off in spades.
And Siege is another game that did that. They said, okay, we're here 10 years, and even just celebrating 10 years, said it again, we're here another 10 years.
Look
and that team's working hard on that.
Look at For Honor. That's like the little game that could. Like
it's
still going. I can't believe
it.
Going. Updates, you know what I mean? Like, and
it's
the thing is too is For Honor has like, if you look at the Steam charts, it's like 3,000-4,000 players, if that. But that's for them, that's what's sustainable. They're like, we have this active player base. We don't need to spend $1 billion every single year on this title. Let's just keep updating it. Even if it's small, even if it might seem insignificant, let's just keep adding in there for the people that still play.
And for that mentality, I think like studios were kind of going through, and still unfortunately, as we know with the news today, going through these or the stakeholders going through their tactics with studios on the old model of like, okay, we are putting out console war generation. We're going to have the exclusives. We're going to have the big hits. Sell fast. Take that model and put it to a live service, which we established doesn't apply the same at all, but also doesn't set your teams up for success, because now you're hiring, like you said, Caboose, so many people to push this game out, hoping to have immediate success within its first, not even month, not it's just insane that the cycle still continues when clearly other studios that are not perfect, Rainbow Six, For Honor, Ubi has a lot of different issues outside of that, but they've got those two things going, and it's still going right for those teams, right? They're still surviving. So how are we going to make the game industry, the longevity of the game industry possible if we're not following, in those games' footsteps and being able to hire appropriately sized teams that we want to remain there for the full service of a game that is going to last at least 5 years. And you know what? 5 years is not even a long time, so I don't understand why there's that hesitation. And these news, like the news of this, like studios closing, when you look at that, this is a majority of those studios closing. This is the issue. If they just thought in terms of, okay, 5 years, let's hire appropriately, keep it downsized, keep little updates here and there, then we could actually not have so many studio closures and get new investors into the game industry, because it wouldn't look like it's just bad news in the gaming industry, because we're actually making it self-sufficient now. Like it's so crazy. And like, sorry, just Apex Legends just announced like their Gundam Wing collaboration. No one would have thought that's a huge collab. No one would have thought that for Apex, considering the state of Apex Legends.
I was gonna say
still chugging. It's still chugging along.
I was gonna say that's such a good point, right? Because Apex is, for all things considered, for that community right now, they're not entirely happy with the state of the game and the position that it currently is in. It's obviously not even near the level of success that it was when it first launched. I don't even think it's close to the level of success when it was like sustained. You know what I mean? When it kind of plateaued. We've had quite a bit of drop off, but even then, it's still getting consistently updated, and they're still adding a lot to the game, and they're still, they're still, tinkering with it and trying to make it, back to whatever its true form was, or back to whatever people really loved about it. But what I will mention, a big part of the reason why Apex had such a success at launch, a big part of the reason why even a game like Rainbow Six had kind of like this continued flow, and it's what I will call Highguard out on a little bit. It's art design, it's the look of the game. You eat with your eyes sometimes. I think Highguard, the
concept as well. Like you think of the concept of Siege, the concept of Apex Legends, For really Honor, they're very different dynamics than what you usually see. So they're kind of owning their market in that space. Teams, there was a purpose. It wasn't just releasing a game to compete with other live service games.
And I'll give credit to the Highguard team for trying something different, especially in the PvP space, for doing something that was completely unique. But I will say the first thing I said when we saw that Game Awards reveal, where I was like, this is from the guys who made Titanfall, right? This is from people who have worked on Apex. Like, why does this look so uninspired? You know what I mean? Like, is this meant to be a hero shooter? Is this meant to be just a straight up PvP brawler kind of game? Why is it that it's got this high fantasy element, but all the guns look so generic? Like, there was nothing about the characters that really jump out at you. You know, there's nothing about the skins even that are like, oh, I want to spend money on that to make my character look cool for the other people I'm playing against. Like, there was just nothing that was like grabbing you.
They were trying to add in so many different things. Like, they were like a jack of all trades, trying to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And it had a bit, like, that was the thing about Highguard. Even like when I was looking at like at it from sort of like from the developer side of it, like I can see that what they were trying to do. Again, tried to, as you said, Camille, like trying to stand out in the field of a lot of these kind of games. I wonder if maybe like if it could have potentially, like, if the investors and weren't like short-sighted and thought about this about a long term, because again, this game is like it lasted Concord, but it still lasted only 2-3 months. I wonder if they had done a Highguard early access where it basically launched with the way as it was, but it was allowing players to be able to jump in, provide feedback. They can see what works, what didn't. They can make those changes within the game itself, as like removing this part because it wasn't resonating with players. Refining that. And I think that's kind of one of the things I think it's missing from a games of service. And there's some that have tried to do this, but I think it's like, when you don't have the player feedback right away and you just try to launch it as is, again, if you don't like, unless you have either a long-term plan to keep this going, or B, looking at player success right off the very beginning, you kind of need that player feedback to be like, okay, what is working with this game? We know we have something, but what can we do to fix that? What can we do to be able to try to change that? And like essentially, I know it's a different genre or a different sort of type of game, but Baldur's Gate 3 had that. They had early access for over a year, if I remember correctly, where they were allowing players to be able to try at least Act 1, which is one of the biggest parts of the game. And they allowed players to try it out and try different builds, try different runs, and see what works, what didn't. And then eventually, when it released, they already had that word of mouth from the players who had been actively part of the early access, saying this game is good. There is something here. And then, now granted, yes, you could say that the best marketing moment was when you could find out you can have sex with a bear, which I think is what kind of like launched the stratosphere. But you already had that a lot of feedback, so that when the game finally launched, a lot of the things that the players would have wanted are in there already. And I wonder if Highguard would have been successful if they were like day one of release. It was early. They announced as early access.
Yeah,
well, you know what, Steve?
One second, Camille, because one thing that you mentioned is how they presented it to, gamers. Try to win gamers over. The same spaghetti slop, all that, whatever. Basically, I think how this game was presented to us right away, it annoyed gamers, and like even that, right, like, with how. And it didn't help. And like, I'm sorry to throw them under the bus as well, but telling gamers, oh, you will be thanking me, or you'll be saying sorry to me in 48 hours. That didn't help out.
Papa Keely.
It didn't help out whatsoever. Like, you show this game off and everything. Maybe from then, if it was possible, you could have done like, hey, try out this early access to help us build up this game. But then with him coming out saying like, oh, 48 hours, you'll be saying sorry to me. And flying out creators who are hyping up a game, and people are like, okay, you have flown out. I don't really believe your word of mouth of this as well. Like right off, like the whole presentation right off the bat was just it was straight up annoying people already.
Yeah.
You know what, Marcel? I'm gonna pick up where Steve left off. I think early access would have been the early access mentality. I don't think you necessarily need early access, but an early access mentality and being humble, especially for a studio that is fully funded from all these different people that came from
Tencent,
these amazing FPSs, right? Like even with
There's no doubt they have talent.
They have talent, but I mean, even when Apex just dropped, right? I think it was in beta when it dropped. dropped and launched, and everyone was like, yo, let's get on this game. But they put that expectation out there, so the gamers knew hopping in, okay, this isn't going to be perfection. I think humbly, if they were a little bit humble about their beginnings, especially, like, there's a really great story to tell there. These are different people from different studios coming together. We want to try to make something amazing, so we hope you like it. We want your feedback. Having more a community-based focus, I could have helped marketed this game and really resonated, I think, with communities a bit better. But also, this could potentially be another result of previous studio or the climate of studios when these founders and their team left the other studios, because there were a lot of layoffs that were happening. A lot of teams were downsizing at that time. And I think it could have been a situation where they got investors in to create Highguard, but they went into it with a AAA studio mentality instead of an indie mentality, and was going in, spending, flying out creators, trying to get this, big marketing. When really, if they're like, okay, we're a fully funded studio from talent that's came from all these great FPSs, we need to make our money last. They might have been in a better situation. I don't think that's what the studio heads did. I think they're like, okay, we got our funding for Highguard. We're going to put it all out, lay it all out. And unfortunately, that didn't pay off in the end. And it's like, even people that are leaving other studios to start their own projects, I think it's really hard for them, firstly, to find funding, but also to make that funding last. But I do think, when you have projects that you think you're creating that are going to be the biggest things, you also have to think of how are you going to make your team last to service that game. Yeah. And obviously Highguard wasn't thinking about that.
It was honestly, it was the perfect storm of mistakes. I think it was the perfect storm of the imperfect storm, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes were made from top to bottom. I really do believe. I feel bad for the team. I know that there were a lot of people who worked really hard on it.
Sure.
I do wish that they find some success. I don't know if the studio is getting shut down, but I'd imagine that it might not survive given what's been happening in the industry lately. So all I hope for is that those developers, the talented people behind the making of the game, find a home elsewhere if it comes to that, or if they are going to work on another game and they get to keep their studio alive, then they bounce back in a big way with whatever they're working on next. It's very unfortunate what happened with Highguard. I do wish that it would have went another way, but there were so many factors that really came down to in terms of the way it was revealed, the way that it looked, and the climate of the games industry at the time that just made it not work.
And I think the even going what you were saying, Marcel, with the Jeff Keighley of it all, it's my thinking about Jeff Keighley is that Jeff Keighley is not a reviewer. He doesn't review games. He doesn't. He rarely even gives his opinions about games. He used to. Yeah, that's how he started his career, as he was a gaming journalist. Yeah. But he doesn't do that anymore. And so yeah, his whole you're gonna be regretting or saying sorry after 48 hours, what have you. We're learning. Okay, that's his first opinion that he's had about a game that he liked. Yes. He probably really liked Highguard and he wanted to talk about it. But you're right, when you're not the voice of a reviewer or not the voice of someone who criticizes games anymore, you're now the voice of presenting and marketing games. You really shouldn't have your opinion shouldn't necessarily be the thing that the stamp of approval for a game. Just because it's Jeff Keighley approved doesn't mean that it's good, that it's a good game. It just means that Jeff Keighley really liked the game. Yeah. Now, granted, some people may have the same taste as Jeff Keighley. I mean, obviously, because he keeps bringing in a whole bunch. We can see his taste in all his showcases. A ton of Souls-like games, a ton of nostalgia games. That's his style. That's what he likes. And that's what he likes to showcase. But
for sure.
When you don't criticize games from anymore, not saying you can't have an opinion, but it's just it's when you are the marketing piece for a game, you can't really give an opinion without people thinking that you're that your opinion is kind of tainted because you're helping to market the game at the same time.
And you know what, Steve? yes and no. Like, it's also celebrity endorsement, right? Like, it's also the gamers to understand where that endorsement's coming from. So it's Jeff Keighley. Okay, he's not really in games media reviewing games anymore. I like some of the games that Jeff, likes. So maybe I'll like this one. But if I really want to know, I'm going to go to a gaming podcast and learn more about that by reviewers, right? So it's like, yes, but also we also have to lay it back on the gamers to be like, make that opinion yourself. It's like any celebrity endorsement, but also the studio should understand that gamers may be skeptical of just Jeff Keighley's endorsement of this, and they may want to go out to different media outlets to work with them on sit down interviews, get our game really in to these core gaming communities that want to know more, that will be on a game long term than just your average day gamer that doesn't have the hours to put into a game and may just hop in for the launch and nothing else.
He just should have known better, man. Making it the final reveal of the Game Awards. Yes, that is true.
I think it was more of the like, you'll be saying sorry in 40 hours hurt them
that
more.
was the worst part of it, for sure.
You shouldn't have had to respond to that.
That's like poking the bear, and then the guys are like, "Wow, you're gonna get clawed, buddy."
It was especially during a time where like the internet was really mobbing against the game, right? So for him to double down, you really would have had to have hoped that there was just some insane thing there that people were going to jump onto. That was definitely a really bad idea. But I honestly just think from the get-go, having it be the final reveal of the night, I really do genuinely wonder if we were in a different timeline and it was just like a middle of the show reveal,
if it would have done better,
what things could have looked like here.
I wonder
I was going to say also that them not saying anything for all that time, Jeff was technically the only one promoting this game. They said nothing for a month.
That too, I wonder if and I wish someone would just poke into Jeff's mind to figure out what was happening in that, because I wonder, because it's a fully funded studios from developers and people give Jeff a hard time for times for trailers, how much people are paying. If he kind of saw this as he's helping a studio of developers out, and the game looks good, he enjoys the game, he's going to gift this slot to them, even if it is at a discount. And I wonder if he thought he was helping more than hurting.
I think he did. I think
he definitely in his mind was expecting that what he was doing there was putting the game on a really massive platform, and hopefully that would allow like a lot of people to want to jump in. It's just, and this is why I say that like the issue isn't entirely on one specific person, one specific entity, one specific thing. There's so many issues across the board, right? Because part of what you're saying, Marcel, right? Why did they stay radio silent? Well, from what everyone had said or what the reports were, the game was originally supposed to just be a shadow drop, and so they didn't have any marketing material planned. But if Jeff Keighley comes to you and says, I'm going to show your game a month before it comes out at the final reveal spot for the Game Awards, it's time to get together with the marketing team and say, what do we do for the next month?
Even just going on a simple stream, being like, "Hey, here's our game. Let's show it off." And
literally,
go to the other biggest. You have this huge spotlight at the Game Awards. Any major media outlet would pick you up and be like, "Oh, you want to sit down for an interview to show us more of the game?" There had to be a lack of confidence there from the team to not market hard, like you're saying, Caboose. They should have, which they really should have.
Especially if the game was coming out a month later.
I wonder if they kind of saw the writings on the wall prior to release that, hey, you know what, something's a little off on this game. It's not getting the reception that we have hoped. This controversy, and it could be a bit, this controversy, we want to stay far away from it before launch. But with the internet, it's really hard to stay away from controversy because anyone could be in, a Highguard's DMs or under, anything that they post about this game or whatever platform it's on. When the game comes out, people could be commenting underneath, "Oh, the Game Awards is horrible," right? So many missteps.
I think it really comes down to it is just like it really is like the developers who worked on the game should not be faulted for potentially any bad decisions that essentially were not their fault. Like I still think it's like the major problem was you had a lot of like this. It was the big thing of all these producers from Apex, from Call of Duty, from all these games. They all tried, like, there was no leadership there to be able to be like, I have a feeling that it probably was to make any decision, like, let alone just one decision. Like, there's no cohesive
too many
vision.
Chefs in the kitchen.
Too many chefs in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and that's probably why they didn't have anyone say we should probably have some marketing materials for the month. Come back a bit early from Christmas break or something, just to kind of get things started with something simple. Like, there was no one. I don't think there was anyone that really because they all had like their own input into things. And again, as you said, when you have too many chefs in the kitchen, you're not going to make a good meal. And in the end, like you could say, I will say this: if anyone who says like there's one de facto reason as to why Highguard did not do well, that's you're completely misguided. There was a lot of decisions that were made before the announcement at the Game Awards, and then even up to now of why this game just did not hit.
But you know what, Steve, to that point as well, it kind of shows, like, we've been talking about, like, just the launch of the game. And yes, it looked like a game that would be like, I may try it. But it also, when you look at that game and how it plays, because we haven't been talking a lot about the gameplay itself. It does seem like everything. It does seem like a little bit of Apex with that grappling and the railing, right? Like, it does seem like a little bit of everything that it did not have its own identity. I know Caboose, you touched on it earlier, like even guns just kind of looked like they were no frills guns. Like, they're just generic brand,
for the few players they added on as well, right?
It looked like a last minute decision. We're adding like guns and we don't have time to actually develop like personality for these weapons.
For a game that was taking so many risks, they took none at all in a weird way. Like, I don't know. It's a massive bummer. I do wish it could have gone down a different way, but there were so many different factors that played that led to this decision, that led to this point. And it is what it is. It's just, it is another Concord and another situation where you just got to live and you learn, on to the next one.
I just, hope the developers are able to land on their feet and find something.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
As for on to the next one, PlayStation to stop releasing games on PC, folks.
This I don't agree with at all. I don't agree with
take it away,
this.
Please.
There is partially an accessibility angle why I'm taking this. It's that because a lot of times, like, yes, PlayStation games have been made accessible, but there is also the idea of not everyone who's disabled can be able to hold a DualSense controller. So providing an option to be able to play with PC and mouse actually can be accessible. I know some of my friends who were never able to play The Last of Us, even though it was as accessible as it was. I have a friend that literally could not play it because he could not hold the controller. When it came to PC, it allowed him to finally be able to play it for the first time, and he loved it. And he also is one that loves Elden Ring for that very reason, because it has control remapping. But I think it, like, the broader scope of PlayStation thinking about not releasing games on PC, I think it limits who can play a game, like one of their games. Yeah, I know that the whole thing was it may be some multiplayer games or games of service that they'll potentially release it on PC as well as PlayStation. And I think it's the cockiness of PlayStation is now kind of come out being like, we don't need to release on PC. We're fine with people playing on consoles. A lot of people had PlayStation 5s. We're going to release it on there. But it's missing the point of it's right now the gaming industry is going multi-platform in a very heavy way, and they're releasing on PC, they're releasing it on Switch. Really, like, we're seeing properties that we never thought was going to be on other consoles is now coming to other consoles. Look at you, Xbox. But it's I think it's doing a disservice, because there are people that prefer playing on PC and there's people that prefer playing on console, and you should be able to have that option for both. Now, granted, day and date, that's a whole other story, but
Steve, I disagree. I agree. The accessibility thing, hey, you speak to that. I don't know if the playing mouse and keyboard on PS5 is different than, in terms of like how users are, the functionality with supported titles is different on Steam for accessibility. So accessibility aside, I would have to say I disagree with you, Steve. I think we are in a state, especially with what's happening with Xbox, where they kind of do need to go back to exclusives. And it could be timed exclusives. I'm not saying like no games ever released on PS5. I mean, in a dream world, I would love games to be released on every platform so everyone gets to experience it. But how the market's going and how, with hardware that may be coming out where you have PC accessible or Steam accessible to consoles, I think PlayStation does need to think strategically if they want to sell their hardware that they may need exclusivity on their consoles, if not, for an exclusive time period, then indefinitely until they figure out what their next strategy is, just because of Xbox. Like the Xbox of it all definitely changes the landscape for those things.
Yeah, I got to agree. I do think that, once again, when it comes to accessibility, like, I think that is extremely important. And I think that there should be people at PlayStation who are still keeping that in mind. The unfortunate reality is they just want the money. They just want to go where that goes. They just want to make sure that they're maintaining good business for PlayStation itself. And I do think right now they're in a position where they're saying, we need to bump up this user base exponentially. They have some big games on the way in Wolverine. They're going to have marketing rights to GTA. Like, they want to try and bring as many people over to PlayStation as possible, especially considering there's rumors that this generation is going to go on for a bit longer than a console generation usually would. So who knows? We might even get to like a Spider-Man 3 or these God of War remakes or who knows, or a Venom game before we even get to the PlayStation 6. So I think now is a good time as any to just pivot and stay away from PC. I still think, like, your Helldivers, that's going to be a PC launch, right? Those are games that are big enough to share the player
that are more
base.
Made for PC experiences as well. Yeah,
exactly, right? But like your single player action adventure focused games, I honestly don't even think sales wise are doing crazy numbers on PC. And that's probably a part of the reason why they're saying, let's just stop doing this, because some people out there who have a PS5 and a PC are saying, I'll just wait the year and get it on PC.
One second, Steve, because I think also one big thing as well is that the next coming Xbox, wherever that's coming up next, is honestly going to be like a Game Pass Steam box, basically. Right. It's gonna be a console that has Game Pass, but it can also play Steam games. And I think PlayStation's like, we don't want our games on Xbox whatsoever.
That's true. That's very true.
And it's not to say I disagree with y'all on that. Like, you definitely bring up some good points. My thinking is that as hardware is going to get more and more expensive, it's become more and more expensive to buy a PlayStation 5. Like, PlayStation 5 is more expensive now than when it launched 6 years ago. Normally, it's the reverse. Now we like everything. We've been talking about it ad nauseum about because of the RAM shortages, or it's hardware prices are going up, tariffs and all that. But it's like, when we're getting to the point where gaming is officially now a luxury instead of a necessity, they're like, yes, when you have a Wolverine, you would expect it to be a console seller. Like, it's going to sell PlayStation 5s, because it's going to expand that player base, and you would think that that's what PlayStation would want. But eventually, it's going to get to the point where that's going to plateau. It already kind of has. Like, they've already got enough PlayStation 5s out in the wild. I'd say that they could always sell more, but there's enough PlayStation 5s out in the wild that I don't think that they're going to have another big significant climb as they keep increasing prices for the console. So the Wolverine to be a console seller, I mean, yes, it could potentially happen, but if like when I see a family of like, oh, like there's a Wolverine game coming out, oh, PlayStation's $800, like that's insane. I'm not spending that.
Yeah, but how much will be a PC at that point?
Hold on, wait for that. A PC player who's like, I can just wait a year. If they don't have that option anymore, they're like, I guess I got to get a PS5.
Right, but
they have the luxury to buy a console.
But let me hold on. Let me finish, because I had not gotten to the PC side of things yet.
Sure. Yeah.
You can be able to play basically a PlayStation game right now with not a lot of hardware. You can basically play any game with a decent mid-sized PC.
For sure.
And I think that I think we're going to start to see even because Nvidia, they're releasing their 3060s again. They're because of prices. So we're going to start to see the large increase of, I think, of like mid-tier PCs that are going to be able to play these games. Now, granted, I'm not saying that Wolverine needs to release day and date on PlayStation 5 and PC. I think maybe the exclusivity window, timed window, might be the better way to go. But I think that because I think, okay, you get the initial launch, people buying Wolverine, they're going to have that launch of also the big push of the holidays. They're going to have that. But when they want to be able to sell more, it's an easy money grab to basically just release it onto PC. I don't think that as long as it can be able to make its budget back to make the PC port, which I think could very easily be done. I think it is still worth it to be able to release it on PC. I think day and date is not a good idea at all at this point, and for both PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. I think it's unless you were expecting it to be multi-platform from the get-go, that's a non-starter. But I think for PlayStation itself to remove completely the idea of not releasing their flagship titles on PC when they could get more larger player base. Yeah, it's on PlayStation hardware, but it is still PlayStation Studio run games. I think that you're missing out on a potential big opportunity. And right now, we don't know what the industry is going to be like in a couple of years from whether it's for hardware, software, or even just the AAA space. But I think that having it just be going back to exclusives is kind of going backwards. That's not going to be the solution to this current problem that we have. You need to find different solutions, and right now I think multi-platform might be the better way to go.
I think just like how Xbox is right now with them putting the games everywhere or even putting on games on Game Pass, I think they're too deep into people already have the idea of I'm just wait for this game to come on PlayStation on PC a year later. People already have that mentality later, and I feel like if Wolverine doesn't come out on PC, I really don't think people will go out to buy a PlayStation to get it.
I think they will, man. You're forgetting about it's a luxury, right? Steve said it's a luxury. You have people
for
on
$800 to play one game, though?
People, but they won't play one game because guess what? They're gonna buy Wolverine, but they didn't play The Last of Us. They didn't play because
it's
Wolverine's
already available everywhere else.
But what I'm saying, as an example, they haven't played the latest PlayStation title, but there's probably 2 other PlayStation titles that they were waiting to play. They're waiting for that Wolverine game to play, and they're banking it. I have a friend that does that right now. He waits to buy his consoles when it's 2 games that he wants to play, and then he hops on PlayStation and buys it. And when he's playing a lot of people do that, and a lot of people have the luxury to do that because those consumers are not necessarily hardcore gamers. Those consumers are the consumers that probably have jobs or they have kids that will need a console to play on, and they want to play alongside their kids, and they're choosing PlayStation to do that. And the other thing, it's Xbox
I think it can go both ways, though, to be honest. I'm just going to say, PCs, I think it can go both ways.
No, because PC's different, especially for family play. Because for family play, a lot of people that want to play with their families will not buy a PC to do that first. They want to have a controlled environment that's a little bit more manageable so they understand what their kid's going to get into, and they want to have it in the living room. And we don't have the Steam box yet. We don't have those consoles yet. And, I think Xbox, like you said, may be that first console that does that hybrid model, but Sony doesn't have that. Sony is not in a place to do that. Xbox is with Microsoft. And I think until PlayStation and Sony sets themselves up to be able to make that jump to a hybrid, they do need to, just have everything exclusive. And for accessibility, they really have to keep top of mind how they're making their consoles more accessible.
And look at it this way: is someone going to spend $800 for just Wolverine? Maybe not. Okay, will they spend $800 for Wolverine and then a Venom game, and then a Spider-Man 3, and then a God of War 1, 2, and 3 remake, and then Intergalactic? Are they going to want to spend Are they going to want to be
an Astrobot where they can have their kids playing,
whatever?
Whatever. Yeah.
There. Maybe for one title, it won't be enough to sway somebody. But if they want to make this pivot, and if it's a pivot, and if it's like from here on out, our flagship single player titles are going to be on PS5 only, it will be enough to entice a consumer to say, well, I want to play these games from these big name studios, and if the only way that I can do it is by getting my hands on a PlayStation, then so be it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it's an easy purchase, obviously, and I know for a lot of people, $800 isn't just you can drop that willy-nilly, but I do think that there will be a lot of consumers out there that will be enticed to want to save up, to look for that holiday sale or whatever it might be, and get their hands on a PS5 if it means that there is a library of games that they cannot play anywhere else, but can only play exclusively on that platform. That's how PlayStation thrived in the first place.
Exactly. And you know what, Steve, you brought up a point of like, we're kind of going back to the console war, that not console war, the exclusivity time is not the way to go because the market has changed so much. I understand, but guess what? Investors and those board executives will say that's where we were winning in the past. We're going back to that until we create a new strategy. And I do think they would look at strategies like first rather than the exclusivity, because that's where they know they will win with AAA titles only on PlayStation. They're going to have to figure out how you could make streaming easier on these consoles on PlayStation. I think for console gaming, that's huge. Like if you are an aspiring streamer for these kids, the kid with the patties, if you want to stream, you want to be able to have future streamers playing on PlayStation. That's going to make it easier for them to stream from their PlayStation with a camera that's going to make it convenient so they don't need to buy a PC. PC is still, I think, their biggest enemy at this point. And they also want to look at, that price point. How are we going to make the hardware or digital only versions more accessible for people that may not be able to buy the full PlayStation 5 experience, but be able to play these titles on PlayStation? I think they're going to look at other strategies before they give up their exclusivities strategy.
I think because investors is the reason why we're in this current timeline.
Yes, and it basically the investors have screwed over the industry.
Yeah, so investors would be like, let's go back to the old way. That doesn't make any sense.
But it doesn't make sense. But the industry doesn't make sense. And guess what? Money doesn't make it make sense. Money.
When is a winning strategy, like a strategy to go backwards?
Because they won in the past. If you know, they don't
have the same talent. They don't have the same people to build like what they had in the past.
They're winning less now, though.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Why buy a whole studio for PC ports just to go backwards?
Because I think
the idea is that they're not going to stay away from PC ports entirely. It's just that
I think in the future strategy to add to that, Caboose, I think the future strategy may be to figure out how the PlayStation could get more PC-like, or what their strategy. I think they're still brainstorming what their strategy is on PC, because how they strategize to have those time exclusives available on PC, they're realizing it won't help them in the long term because of the Xbox.
But right now, the thing that we're seeing is that the line between consoles and PCs in terms of performance, in terms of how the game plays, is like it's indistinguishable. Like you could you look at a game, it's on, like if you're asked, is this on PC or console, you may not even know what what the answer is to that. Like literally look at Resident Evil Requiem.
Yeah,
it looks so good not only on the Nintendo Switch, but it also looks good on it looks relatively the same on a PC. You might be able to find some differences here and there. So the blending of the two, this is the only point in the entire video game industry where the two areas of PC and consoles are so are very they've never been more connected together and more mixed together than they have been in the past.
But it's still cheaper to play on a console.
Not really. I mean,
Not
it's
really.
like you're
It is.
Yes.
You can spend,
Absolutely.
you can spend the
Absolutely
same
it is.
amount on a mid-range PC.
You cannot spend
No, you
$800 on a
cannot.
mid-range PC. You're spending a minimum of $1,000.
$1,500.
When you look at
$1,500.
basically the
On a
cost
PC.
of, like, you basically have to, like, the cost of the console, the cost of controllers, the cost of the games themselves. You're looking at pretty much the same price as like a PC.
It's
Now,
still
hey,
less.
hold on, let me finish. I know that right now the difference is there is still a difference. Yes, PCs are still a little bit more expensive right now than consoles, but you gotta admit that price difference is getting up there. Like, it's getting closer together.
But also
than it
PC's
has
getting
been
up there.
before.
Look at the price of
Yeah,
graphics
look at
cards
RAM.
for PCs.
Look at
it keeps
CPUs.
going up.
You don't
It's
have to get the latest and greatest
You
computer to
don't.
run.
You don't
Like,
have
don't.
to. And
No.
you can
Computer-
spend about
hold on, guys, 1 second. A computer these days, yes, I'm even looking at it right now, that has like a 5090 is like $4,000, but you can get a computer that has a 20 series that play the same games that's being presented right now for like $500, $800. It's the same
No,
thing.
you cannot.
Yes, you can.
You can get a
you
PC
can.
for $500 to $800.
You know
Show
what?
me
Canadian?
where.
A handheld computer right now is about $500-$600. The Steam Deck can
Not
put
a
out the same
handheld.
amount, and it's
Though.
still technically a
Not a
PC.
It cannot. It cannot
but
run
it
every
can't
game.
run
though.
every game. It can't run every game.
But
It can't run every game.
The thing is that
get the
the-
latest
if you're
titles.
looking at the specs of like the 5090s, yes, that is nowhere near what we're even
course.
like.
And
what
I'm
classic
not.
price
I'm
is.
looking at a
If you're looking at
$1,500
even
PC.
just something that is like simply as built as a PS5, it's not as high as you guys think it is.
I'm not saying that we're getting to $2-3 grand even on the lower end. The lower end, it's okay. I'm not saying it's necessarily affordable. Obviously, I understand consumers. It's hard, right? But I don't think you're spending less than $1 grand on a PC, no matter what. And if you want to talk about the conversation of, well, if you get a PS5, you got to buy controllers, you got to buy games. If you get a PC, you got to buy a keyboard, you got to buy a mouse, you got to get a monitor. You know what I mean?
Got to get a headset.
There's a lot of peripherals that still come with getting a PC as well that add to that cost. I listen, Steve, you're right. The range between getting a PlayStation to getting a PC, that price difference has shrunk.
It's
okay,
shrinking,
it is not like, why the hell would I even get a PC anymore? Okay, it is understandable why there's such an active user base of people who play their games only on PC. What I'm trying to say is, for an average consumer who just wants to play video games, who doesn't know about tech, who's too confused about why the hell is X, Y, and Z game not running perfectly smooth, getting a console is just an easier, like a much more
from a
ease of
regular
entry.
store,
So let's
not
talk
having to
about
go on the
sort of-
hunt for it.
Let's talk about the long term. Let's talk about the long term, the situation here. Okay, so you're saying, okay, we go back to exclusives, going backwards in strategy. We're going back to exclusives. We're locking into just a console,
Right.
But the problem is with that, it's like the price of the hardware is still going up.
Yep.
It's
And the price of
not
a
going to
PC is
stop
going up,
at
though.
it's not going to stop at $800. Like, pretty soon we're looking like we're already, with the fact that the PlayStation 6 is now a couple years away. We're now looking potentially at a potential price hike. I would not put past PlayStation to put this up to $1,000. It's already over $1,000 Canadian.
I would
Like,
put
with
it.
exchange rate. So-
I don't think they're going to do that.
Let me finish. Because the side of the things so as we said, that the price difference between a mid-range PC that can play games at a decent pace pretty much across the board. Yeah, and it may not be ultra high graphics. You're looking at medium to high at best. It's playable on a mid-range PC. As that price over the next couple of years is going to keep increasing for a console, it's going to get to a point where a mid-range PC is going to be roughly the same amount as a console. Now, yes, is it easier just to have one box that sits in the living room that makes it like it's super simple and that? I will always pay for convenience rather than basically having to tweak with PC settings and making sure the PC is up and running. I understand that. But when you're already kind of saying, okay, in order to play PlayStation games from here on out, you have to play on a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 6. Prices ain't going to go cheaper. They're not. We are not going to see the console price of $500 ever again. It's still going to keep climbing to the point where like the idea of potentially just, oh, this game is coming out, I want to play it. Oh, I need to spend over $1,000 to buy a console in order to be able to play it. That idea is just going to go away, and people are going to look at it and be like, huh. I could probably be able to get something else other than. Let's just take the PC out of the equation.
I just couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more because you're thinking still isolated to one game or two game. The value proposition is in several years from now, there is a library of titles that are exclusive to PlayStation. Even if the console costs $1,000, it's people who are saying, I cannot play these 10 games I really want to unless I get a PlayStation.
And also, I think PC speaks to a specific audience of gamers. It still is not at the point where it speaks to your average consumer.
And I do think that PC it's at a really good spot right now, where you are looking at a Fortnite or any games as a service right now, or even a title like a Resident Evil Requiem get large success on PC like it never would have 5-10 years ago. You know what I mean? So PC is obviously a mainstay platform, maybe even more so in some respect than like an Xbox, right? But a PlayStation, it's just one of these trusted brands. It's one of these things that everyone knows that PlayStation's got their back, that PlayStation's going to release.
How can you say that when they brought their games to PC? It's not trusted anymore. I don't know.
But it is trusted because they're very selective.
Really.
But they're very selective.
And I think for an average consumer, they're not aware of the timed exclusivity. They think that this game just came out and it's exclusive for the PlayStation. They're not really paying attention or thinking about the news about this game that they played a year from when it came out. You know what I mean? Like they're not a lot of people are as online as we are, right? Or as ingrained into this stuff as we are. So somebody who's got a PS5 and played Spider-Man 2 might not even have an idea that the game is available on PC right now and that you can like mod the hell out of it and do some really cool shit with the game. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people that are missing out, and I don't know if there are a lot of people that are going to be able to tune in to that fact. And that's what I'm trying to say is there is a really active player base on PC. There is an active player base on PC for people that are getting PlayStation games that come to PC. They will still always, considering 90 million people have PS5s, make up maybe even 0.01% of the people who are actually playing these games. And that's why PlayStation says, is it worth the time? Is it worth the marketing? Is it worth the budget that we will blow up to put this game on PC instead of just keeping it exclusive to our console and bringing some of those users over?
Yeah.
But when has a walled garden ever been successful?
The PS4,
they've been the PS4, PS3.
No, but
that was like that's a different time.
Even the launch of the
different
PS5,
time, yeah.
like the PS5, the PS5 had they suffered so much in those first few years because they had no games coming out.
We're talking from a nostalgia standpoint of what these consoles were like. But when is the best solution to go backwards?
But what I'm saying it's not necessarily going backwards. I think their strategy because I think their strategy will change. I think that they're saying we're going backwards to put our exclusives only on PlayStation 5, but that doesn't mean that they're not cooking on how to integrate on PC, which is why they're buying PC studios to create PC ports. I think they're trying to understand and be methodical on what their strategy is with PC because they see that users spending time on PC gaming are probably playing 5 other games and they're not PlayStation games. Whereas users playing on PlayStation are probably playing 5 other games and 4 of them are PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Right? So there's different, I think they're winning more on a PlayStation 5 than they're winning on Steam or on PC, just because of they're able to control the environment a bit more because of those exclusive and those titles and what's on their hardware.
I just wager they launched the PS5 still under that same ploy of just having games be exclusive to PlayStation. It's only been a very recent thing that PlayStation has invested in the PC market and had tried to get some of their games on the PC platform. They gave it a go because they looked at the landscape and saw that maybe that was the trend and maybe this was the way forward for these games. It's great for consumers. I want more people to be able to play Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man 1 in 2018 came out on the PS4 exclusively,
that was awesome.
I was like going crazy over the fact that one of the biggest IPs in the world was exclusive to one console. I was like, what are we even doing? You know, Spider-Man should be something that everyone can play.
When it was on Steam in photo mode and how just the user base went crazy with it.
Awesome.
That was amazing. Yeah.
I love that. I am strictly, the only reason I'm even arguing this here is strictly because I'm just thinking about the rumor itself and why I believe it to be true from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
PlayStation looked at the landscape. They looked at what was going on. They gave it a go putting their games on PC, and they probably feel as though there was more success for the brand overall and the amount of money that they can make, because that's all it's about at the end of the day, to bring everything back to the PlayStation.
Also, to go back to, the success, when is it successful to go back? I mean, when you see one of your biggest competitions kind of showing signs that they potentially maybe be scaling back huge or leaving the landscape as a whole with Xbox, just putting it out there that you could play on Xbox anywhere and on anything. I think that also scared PlayStation to be like, oh, whoa, we need to make sure we have our identity sound, because we can't just be everywhere. We can't just be on Steam. We can't just be on PC. And then, a few years down the road, we have other PlayStation games that are on Xbox, which I don't think they want as well. So who knows? Although they're making this decision now, maybe they're trying to see what happens. The Xbox is it's rumors. What happens next Xbox generation, to see what Xbox is doing, because that's a whole thing too. Like if you had your biggest competition, just all of this news come out about them, that it's like, oh, whoa, it looks like they're really shaking up. You kind of pull back and you go to what's safe. And I think that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
If this is true.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, I like the current format. I'm with Steve. I like the current format right now. If I'm willing to meet in the middle. If you want to push it to 2 years, all right, I'll agree. Let's have some new terms here at PlayStation.
I should also state, I want it to stay the way that it is.
Yeah.
Again, that I really hope that it hasn't come across that I'm trying to play devil's advocate for just the sake of it.
You're trying to keep Spider-Man all for yourself.
You know what? I want Spider-Man all for me, baby.
All for you.
I'm not trying to be annoying or anything. I am just strictly talking from the rumor standpoint and whether or not it could be true from the perspective of business and the way that PlayStation might operate.
And they're probably the same conversation we're having right now, going back and forth at the table, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. But then,
and I think they probably had these, if this is what's potentially happening, or even if it's not happening, I'm pretty sure they're having these conversations right now, given the landscape of, their competitors, given the landscape of pricing for technology and how that's not going down. Console gaming is definitely going through the shift, and I think if consoles want to survive, and me being a console gamer and loving to game on my console, even though I have my PC set up, I hope that consoles as a whole, Xbox hopefully is not out of the loop yet, and Nintendo Switch is always doing their thing, but I hope they find a way to really differ themselves. And right now, it just seems that games are the only way that they could do that.
Yeah. I also want to mention, Marcel, I know you asked me at the top of the show if there was anything else I wanted to talk about. I don't want to extend the show for too long, but I did want to mention that there are a lot of rumors right now circulating about Cory Barlog's next game. And it does sound like it's going to be a God of War spinoff that's focusing on Faye.
Which is so interesting.
And then some people recently have pointed out that because he was the guy who teased God of War Ragnarok several years before the game was even revealed. Because I don't know if anybody remembers, when God of War 2018 came out, he posted a thread on Twitter that was going over all the behind the scenes and his passion and love for that game. And each first letter of each tweet spelled out Ragnarok is coming. So people went back. Yeah,
I know.
People went back to look at some of his Twitter posts from way back when. His Twitter name, way back when in 2021, used to be #1 Faye Stan account.
What?
And so everyone's like,
way.
Corey's very intentional with what he does. And if all these rumors are starting to circulate that he's working on a God of War spinoff, it's starring Faye, and that was his like Twitter name in like 2021. That could have been right around the time that they started development. And now the rumor is that it'll be revealed this year. It'll come out next year. God of War fans are eating well.
I mean, I feel like this is also
except for the Amazon Prime show.
Yeah, except oh my gosh, let's not talk. Oh my god, my eyes, my
someone
eyes.
made The Rock into Kratos and then Kevin Hart into the boy meme.
It's so bad. It's so bad. But it's crazy because if these rumors are true, this is the God of War game no one asked for. But maybe we need
honestly,
this could be like I don't think anyone thought a spin-off into Faye's story would be a game we would want because we really are tied to Kratos, and that would be the only hesitation I have to this spinoff if it's true how fans would receive it. But if Corey's behind it, I would have all the faith.
Yeah,
but then he didn't have anything to do with the God of War series, right?
Yeah, he did. What do you mean? He didn't?
I would hope not.
Are you saying he didn't have anything to do with it?
No, I mean the live action Amazon series.
Oh no, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't
that
think
team
so.
At all.
Yeah, okay, because my eyes burned when I saw. Oh,
not a big fan.
No,
not a big fan.
No.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to hijack the show, but I just wanted. I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're mad at me and you want me to leave? Okay.
I'm just gonna end the show, honestly. So, but no, honestly, PlayStation part, great discussion as well. I am on leave the games on PC team, everything, whatever. But
that would be the dream.
That'll be the dream, and hopefully one day console prices don't get to $2,000. It's hard out here.
I would hope.
Yeah, Caboose, what's going on for you for the rest of the week?
Not much. I am actually, like I said, very excited for Marathon. Very, very hyped.
Very, very nice.
Yeah,
I gotta fix that UI though.
I agree.
So bad.
The UI
is really
the UI.
Bad. Okay,
yeah. It's really bad. It is such a mess. Honestly, I still have some problems. Like the TTK is pretty rough. And in general, like there isn't the robot enemies. Sometimes they can be so tough that you jump into a lobby where just like everyone gets killed. You know what I mean? You don't even have a fight against like real people. So they have some work to do, but it's Bungie, man. The gunplay is so good. The art direction is incredible. It is a beautiful looking game, and I have a lot of faith in it. I put quite a bit of hours into that server slam, and although my first hour or two I wasn't really feeling it, at one point it all clicked for me. So I'm very excited for that. And then I'm just really excited. We're getting closer and closer to the spring. Insomniac, save us. I want a new look at Wolverine, please. So that's it. That's all that I got.
No.
Oh my god. That is brutal.
Like, why?
There you go.
Honestly, it should have just been this duo. I don't know why.
I actually kind of like this. I'm not gonna
say
lie.
this. I think the biggest problem that I think people have with this, the reason why people think it just looks like cosplay, is because this is the first time we're seeing this in live action.
That's fair.
It's not in the animated style. Like, granted, yes, the games look more realistic than most, but it's just a bit jarring.
The beard isn't full enough. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the eye color too. Like, he's got to have those yellow eyes. I don't know. I
wanted him to be jacked.
Wasn't it a set photo that's not actually like a still?
And so that's the thing. That's the thing. It's a set photo, so that's why I'm going to still wait as long as possible to reserve my judgment fully on this show.
Yeah,
I really hope once we get to see a trailer and get to see everything in motion.
That's what I'm saying. As soon as we see Kratos in action with the Leviathan axe, I think we're going to change our tune real quick.
I'm also, Ryan Hurst. Thankfully, he's such a good voice.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like
when as soon as he says he's going to say boy, it's going to click.
I just need one good boy from him, and then
I hope his voice cracks. Boy,
I'm hungry. But yeah, like there's a couple things that's really jarring about it, but I really hope it's good, man. I really hope it's good. Yeah.
Hell yeah, Camille, what's going on for you?
praying
watch that cup. You're almost done the show.
I know. I finished it.
Okay, we're good.
So if it falls, it's fine now. It's fine. My keyboard will be saved. Honestly, just enjoying the start of the winter melt, and spring starting up. I think we're out of it, guys. I think winter is going to be over soon.
It's snowing tomorrow. Just saying. I'm so
what?
You just here to crush our dreams, aren't you?
Actually, tomorrow.
And yeah, hoping I get into Requiem. Yeah.
Just embrace the screaming your pants off. But then again,
just wear 2 pants. That's all.
Yeah, so if one falls off, you still have another.
Or wear brown pants and no one would know.
Wear the brown pants.
True. Brown pants. Brown pants. Yeah, okay. I got you.
No one will know.
I'm going to go buy brown pants, pretty much.
And hey, you have a built-in excuse. You could blame it on the baby.
Exactly. That's true.
It's the baby's fault. I don't know what you're talking about.
Makes perfect sense. Steve, how about yourself?
You're dumb. Like, what are you talking about? Gaslight him. Well, I'm basically in prep mode for heading out to GDC next week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've already got a few things I'm checking out, including actually the mix, which is going to be the showcase that's going to be happening next week. And I got invited to go to try out a few games there. So basically it's going to be a work thing because I'm doing a talk at GDC, but
That's what I was going to say. What's your talk about again?
It's about how to build to market accessibility and how to build accessibility like in your teams to kind of build processes for accessibility. It's kind of it's a good like fireside chat about how to market accessibility in the best way possible. So
awesome.
You have one at PAX too, right?
I have 3 at PAX.
Damn. All right.
I have one about how to pitch a panel like a pro, and then I have 2 on accessibility. One more for about video game accessibility, and then I think another for just sort of digital accessibility. But 2 accessibility talks, and then and I'm also going to be running that hasn't really been fully approved yet. So I'm hoping like just crossing all my T's out of my I's for that. But I should be running some Daggerheart games, so it's kind of like a TTRPG tabletop game.
Nice.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, so
staying busy.
Yeah,
trying to.
Yeah,
I'm not getting paid for either of those things, so we'll just see if hopefully that leads to work. But hey, it's
open for opportunities.
Exactly.
Cool.
So,
for me, I finished Requiem, and now I'm patiently waiting for WWE 2K26 that comes out this Friday, early access. So I'm going to be playing some games. I'll play some Scott Pilgrim. Planet Atlanta 2 comes out soon as well. So
are you going to play Poketopia?
Ooh, I might give it a try. Maybe
I think I'm gonna hop on.
It's reviewing well. It's reviewing really well.
It's fine. I know. I have a lovely Discord chat reminding me every day about this.
Yeah. I know Riley's been reminding Marcel every day that he counterpicked.
I give him a freebie. All right. See, unlike Riley,
hey, we all make mistakes. Okay? I chose Dust Bloods as well as like my counterpick. Hey,
that can still come out. That can still come out.
We'll see. But already you're out 20 points, buddy boy.
Okay. You know what? Everyone will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Well, I counterpicked Fable, so we're in the same boat.
I only hear these points things. See you all next week. Bye.